just a little bit of history repeating.
Alright, so here she is, Rosa Parks. Now what I want you guys to do is take out a piece of paper or open your word processor and write down as much as you know about Rosa Parks. So pause the video and get started. So let's see what you guys know about Rosa Parks. So I'm sure that some of you guys said that she refused to give her seat up on the bus to a white person. And I'll bet some of you said that she went to jail for her beliefs. And I'll also bet that some of you said she helped start the Montgomery bus boycott. Now in all three cases you're 100% right. But did you know she wasn't actually tired when she refused to move? In her autobiography she actually wrote, "People always say that I didn't give up my seat because I was tired. But that isn't true. I was not physically tired. No, the only tired I was tired of giving in." Rosa Parks was tired of being treated as a person who was not equal to every other person in America. Now guess how many people refused to give up their seats in Montgomery before Rosa Parks? 1, 2, maybe 3? Actually, there were 4. Now guess how old the first one was? The first girl who actually refused to give up her seat was only 15 years old, almost the same age as you guys. Her name was Claudette Colvin, and she was arrested for refusing to give her seat up to a white person. Now imagine being 15 and sitting on a bus and someone tells you to move and you go and say no because I'm allowed to sit here because this is America and here we have freedom and I should be able to sit wherever I want. But she wasn't the only one. Aurelia Browder, Mary Louise Smith, and Susie McDonald were also arrested for refusing to give up their seats to a white person. In the end, these women helped go and bring this case of segregation on buses to the Supreme Court, and because of them, bus segregation was ruled unconstitutional. But now we're going to go back to Rosa Parks. So she was a member of the Montgomery chapter of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People since 1943, and she helped African Americans fight for equal rights. So in 1943, 12 years before the Montgomery bus boycott, Rosa Parks got into an argument with the same bus driver who tried to throw off the bus, James Blake. Now, Rosa Parks got on the bus and paid her fare at the front and refused to get off the bus and re-enter the vehicle through the back. Because what happened was African Americans would go and pay the bus fare at the front of the bus and then they had to leave and go back on the bus through the back door. And she refused. And James Blake, the bus driver, actually got physically violent with her. He didn't hit her, but he grabbed her shirt aggressively. After that, Rosa Parks said, "I never wanted to be on that man's bus again. After that day, I made a point of looking at who was driving the bus before I got on. I didn't want any more run-ins with that mean one." So even though James Blake was violent towards Rosa Parks, in the end, he didn't suffer any consequences for his actions. So on December 1st, 1955, Rosa Parks was arrested for refusing to give her seat up on the bus. She hadn't planned on being arrested that day. She even said, "If I had been paying attention, I wouldn't have even gotten on that bus." So after she was arrested, Rosa Parks ended up losing her job. Her boss at the department store said it wasn't because of the boycott. Now imagine that though. Imagine because you like a certain sports team or you like a certain video game, your friends and your school and where you work doesn't accept you anymore. And things got actually worse for Rosa Parks. Her husband had to quit his job because he wasn't allowed to talk about his wife or the boycott at work. Imagine not being able to talk about the things you like at school because it's unpopular. And then things got even worse. She started receiving death threats, and in 1957 she moved to Detroit. Can you imagine, just because you did something, that you would have to move because people were saying that they wanted to kill you? While she was in Detroit, though, she ended up getting a job working for Congressman John Connors, and she ended up working for him for the rest of her life. Now, how did the African Americans get to work? Well, they organized a carpool service, they walked to work, to protest, and to jail, and they rode their bicycles. Now try and imagine that. Think about it. When you get picked up from school, you call your mom on a cell phone or something like that, and her or your dad come get you. The African American community managed to organize carpools without having technology or cell phones. It was just telephone and saying, hey, be at this corner at this time. So on November 13th, 1956, 381 days after the boycott began, the Supreme Court ruled that bus segregation was unconstitutional. The boycott ended December 20th, a day after the court's written order arrived in Montgomery. So after the victory with regard to the Montgomery bus boycott, Rosa Parks became known as the mother of the civil rights movement. Now, when people in government, like the president or really important military people like generals, die, their bodies lie at the rotunda of the U.S. Capitol. In 2005, Rosa Parks passed away after dedicating her life to fighting for civil rights. She was such an important part in making America the country that it is that she was given the honor of being placed in this rotunda. More than 30,000 people filed past her coffin to pay their respects. She even inspired President Barack Obama. So this is what I want you guys to do today. From now on, when someone says that Rosa Parks didn't give her seat up on the bus because she was tired, I want you to tell those people that you know what actually happened. The more people understand that Rosa Parks wasn't tired but chose to fight injustice, the more we can inspire people to follow in her footsteps.